And all right, so thanks everyone for joining us to talk about Kenyon-Rome. We will be running the Kenyon-Rome program. We certainly hope, we expect to be running the program in fall of 2021. And it's a really special program because Kenyon sends a faculty resident director as part of the program each year. And we are excited to share a little bit more about it and a little more with all of you. So the professor leading the program for 2021, sorry, I keep not being able to get anything other than 2020 out of my mouth, which is funny. It's not a year I would choose to remember, but will be Professor Hackbardt from the Studio Art Department. And I believe for 2022, it's Professor Hosteller. Is that correct? Or Professor, is it, wait, no.
I think it's going to be
Reed. It's you, Reed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, Professor Baldwin for 2022, and then Professor Hosteller 2023. Is that? No,
I may be further down the road, but yeah, that's yet to be determined.
Okay, great. So we've got a bit of a succession lineup. It's a little far away, but we are, yeah, we're happy to have all of you here. We also have a number of students who have participated in the program in fall of 2019. So we are happy to have those students joining us. If you would maybe like to just introduce yourselves and say your name, your major / minor concentration, whatever, minors, double majors, whatever you got, throw it at us. And all of the students we have are in Rome in fall of 2019. So that's pretty simple. But I see Alex first, so I'll throw it to you and then you can pass it to someone else.
Sure. My name's Alex. I'm an econ major and a studio art minor. Yeah, I guess that's it. I'll throw it down to the next person, which is Thad.
I didn't realize there's an official order. I'm Thad. I am a classics major with no minors, but a number of interests. I don't know who's next.
I'll hop on next. My name's Cooper. I'm an econ major. I also have many interests. And yeah, I'm not really an artsy person, but love the trip.
My name's Meme. I'm a studio art and psychology double major. Yeah, and I had a great time in Rome.
I'm Clara. I'm a studio art major and English minor. And yeah, it was really fun.
Great, thanks for joining us.
And more.
Oh, sorry, I was trying to go around and I go for it.
My name's Ben. I'm a art and psychology student. Yeah.
Thanks. And do you want to say where else you studied last year, Ben?
I also went to Denmark after Rome.
Cool. Thank you.
With DIS.
Yep. All right. And Professor Hackbardt, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, and apologies. My internet was not working at all. And I kept waiting for the refresh because sometimes Zoom takes forever for me to connect with. I'm like, finally I figured out I don't think I'm connected at all here. So sorry, it took me a minute there running around my upper story of my house here, but I'm Professor Hackbardt, or just call me Marcella. I know a lot of you. So I teach photography here in studio art, and so I'll be leading the Rome program in the fall. So I'm not quite sure where you're at or how I can jump in.
We just did introductions, really. So
okay.
Feel free to jump in wherever you'd like. And
okay, so maybe I'll just really quickly breeze through the types of classes I'll be teaching and what University of California might be offering. And then we can kind of take questions, and maybe Meghan will tell us a little bit more about the process. So I'll just start there with classes and that kind of thing. So I'll be teaching narrative photography in Italy, and I'll have cameras for students who don't have them. So I'll be taking some of the department digital cameras, but students who have cameras are welcome to use their own. So that class will have regular assignments that will be dealing with different themes that are prevalent in Italian art or Italian lifestyle. We'll be looking at Italian film. And of course, we'll be visiting lots of sites that have photo ops and talking about how to use them. And then the other class is contemporary art for artists working in Rome. And in that class, each student can choose a medium or different mediums to make their work with. So it's very individualized. And we go and look at a lot of contemporary art because, of course, the city is this incredible, international mecca for artists. And so going to the different like Maxi Museum or Macro Museum, Kenyon-Rome, these types of places where we can see and experience openings in contemporary art, as well as making the work that we want to make. And it can be very targeted to students, whether they've had a studio art class and they want to work more at an intermediate level, or a beginning student is also welcome. And then the studio art department for majors that will be a senior next year, we're making it possible for them to go as well because they missed out this year. So senior art majors will enroll in the Contemporary Art for Artists class, and it will count for the advanced studio seminar. And I will teach it in the way that we teach that class for those students. So they'll be working on generating their ideas for their body of work that then they'll continue when they come back here and eventually show in the Gunn Gallery. So there are a lot of options there. And then for art, if you are a studio art major or you're looking for art history class, there's amazing art history class. I heard, I want to go with the class because I hear the teacher makes you, cry in front of the pieta and all kinds of amazing things. He's just incredibly knowledgeable. And some of the students maybe can talk about this class on Bernini and Borromini and the making of Rome. So that, of course, counts as art history. And then there's other classes in history or sociology for people who are coming from other majors that might need things. So that gives you a little bit sense of classes. Is that kind of a good introduction?
That is.
I was just going to say that the classroom, the studio classroom, and all the classrooms are in this beautiful old building in Rome. I don't know. I just want to throw that in there.
There's a gelato right by the classroom.
Say it again.
I said there's great gelato right by the classroom, but then again, there's great gelato.
And coffee and espresso.
And pizza.
Yeah.
It's also within like a quarter mile of the Pantheon, which is pretty awesome. So there's that too.
That's right. It's so centrally located, the school, that it couldn't be better. It's just a beautiful part of the city for sure.
When we were there in 2014, all of my students, we wanted to see it rain through the aperture in the Pantheon, but we had such perfect weather. So finally in November it rained, and we ran down there. It's just it's like a 3-minute walk and a 2-minute run. So we got there. It was extraordinary. So.
Do you want me to talk a little bit more about the Italian part of the courses? Everybody on the program takes an Italian class as well.
Yeah.
So the Italian, most students are beginner level Italian. However, UC can accommodate by request for higher levels of Italian as well. So
I do know I have a couple students intermediate and 1% advanced. So
Yeah, so everybody takes Italian, and they I think what's great about the Italian that they offer, and I say this as someone who actually got to sit in on the class for a short period of time as well, like several weeks, not just a day. They really try to focus on intensively integrating you into the community. So how to use the Italian in a way that is practical and useful, and not just focused on learning how to say things that you'll never use.
And you're in the
People
culture.
are nodding. You had
listening.
assignments where you had to like go to the market and go buy coffee and stuff like that, right? Yeah.
And what about some of the students who were there last year? In terms of your experience of, you get a food stipend, right? And was that fun to go shopping or to, go out to eat wherever you wanted?
The food stipend is substantial. It covers a lot of food. It's pretty awesome. We went out to eat a bunch, but there's also tons of marketplaces that have fresh groceries, and there's like supermarkets, but those are mostly for when we're lazy, which ended up being a lot.
Yeah, there are a ton of really, really cheap options. I mean, this may just be like me, Thad, and Alex, but like pretty much our first meal of the day was pizza almost all the time. And it's like €5 for a pizza. So it's very cheap. And it's way cheaper if you want to like make your own pasta or something.
So there was a market, we were in Trastevere, and there's a market just a few blocks away. And so my students kept teasing me that, I was flirting with the cheesemonger. It was just, I really love specialty, cheeses, and I mean, they're all local and regional. And I mean, you can't even get them here. So I was constantly buying all these tiny little cheeses, and they were very suspicious of my activities there. But there was a giant cheese counter between us, It wasn't anything, but it was just extraordinary. Everything is there, and there's things you could never get here. So exploring the food and the culture, and I think you guys probably did this too. Like we would eat out at least once a week as a group. So I would pay, or the school would pay for that, usually on a Sunday night, because people were returning back from their adventures on the weekend, and we would get together for a group meal that was paid for. So at least usually about once a week, another meal would be paid for that way, and a really great experience in order to recount some of the things we had done.
Another thing that is somewhat special about the Kenyon-Rome program is that the program has travel integrated into the courses. Do you want to talk a little bit about what might happen for next year, and then maybe people can talk about the trips that you took in the fall?
Yes, so of course, there's one trip to Pompeii that is a part of the program, and then also there's usually a 5-day, 4-night trip. And when I went before, we went to Sicily, which was incredible. But you guys went to Puglia. I want to hear about Puglia, because maybe we should go there. Should we go to Puglia?
I think we went to Sicily also.
Did we go to Puglia?
Oh, we went to Venice as well.
Oh, okay. Oh, great. But you guys went to Sicily?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was incredible. It's like you walk the streets and it just smells like Italian food. It's really amazing. You like
fish.
You like the old grandmothers cooking in the kitchens for the family, and you can like hear like a soccer game on the TV or something.
We went to this little cafe that was like famous for the cannoli, and there's an episode of Chef's Table that's about that like little tiny cafe. It was really cool.
Wow. Sicily. I mean, it's a kind of a raw experience, right? You're just there, and you're in the middle of everything. I mean, very traditional, very present, right? And the culture is so forward, like in the streets, in the air, wafting through the air.
It's deep Italy. It's very deep. It's like everyone like yeah, it's like things are calming down very, very early, and there's just like there's a saying that like things get more Italian the more south you go, and it definitely holds true because it was like visiting a different country, honestly, down in Sicily.
And then I know the year I was directing, apart from the program trips, students were traveling almost every weekend, or at least half of the group would be out of Rome every weekend. And the number of places you can get to and spend 48 hours in and then come back again Sunday evening for the group dinner that night is just staggering. I mean, there's so many beautiful places, and of course you can fly and take trains all over Europe if you want to. So that's another wonderful feature, I think, of the program.
I was really kind of intimidated by the train system. I thought, I'll never be able to go anywhere on my own. But Accent quickly taught us how to navigate the bus system, and we have, within the city. And so I was able to just get around so easily. And then they got us right on those trains. And, there's also an online, you just, book the train and then go there and get on the train. And it was so effortless and so much fun. And they're, of course, incredible, clean and fast and everything, and they get you right up to Florence or to Venice or Cinque Terre, the different places that you might want to go. So I went all over, and I really enjoyed that aspect of the experience. And all over Rome, like we were at one point, we wanted to go, we needed props, we needed like old clothes, for our photographs. So we wanted to go thrift stores shopping. So we were taking these buses to all these places in Rome and, shopping in junk stores. It was so much fun. Everyone bought these 1970s beautiful clothes for $1. So they were wearing them all over too, not just for the photos. But I think the heart and soul really, there's just so much to do and so much to see and places outside of the country, but the educational experience, especially because it is a Kenyan program, a lot of times what I see students going on other programs, they come back and they're like, well, it was fun, but I never made a single work of art. Because there isn't that Kenyan attention to, the academic experience, right? And so that's, it's not the intensity, I suppose, of here in some ways, but ongoing and diligent. And you come back with work that you've made, that you care about, that responded to your experience and helped you comprehend your experience and create a new experience for yourself. So I think that the degree to which we help the students continue to make their work makes the program equally meaningful.
Yeah, we've had so many studio students come back from off-campus study programs and say, I love the program, it's great, but I saw my professor 3 times all semester, and something like that. And we don't want that for you. We want to be there for you. And so I think it's you're going to get a much more reliable educational experience, I think. Meghan, I'm sorry if I shouldn't be saying this with you in the room, but I'm just relaying what I've heard from students in the past.
No, I think it's fair to say that the approach of most art programs in conservatory style settings is much more hands-off. And some students may be looking for that. So that may be what some people are looking for. But if you are looking to maintain a more intensive instruction model, then I think that the Kenyon-Rome program really is what you should be looking at. So that is very, very fair to say. And I think as a student considering programs, it can be challenging sometimes to sort out what are some of these differences and what that might mean for you on the ground, and when you get there, what that's going to be like. So I really encourage you take advantage of talking with your faculty and take advantage of talking with the students that are here today, because they have had that experience of going and looking at programs and then making decisions about what to do, and then seeing how those decisions played out in real life in Rome. So on that note, I can talk more about the logistics of the application, but I think it's more interesting to hear from the seniors. So I'd love to have you talk a little bit about kind of like how you chose the Rome program, and if you have any advice maybe for sophomores who are kind of making this decision right now. Okay, now nobody's jumping to go first.
I'll jump in. So Professor Esslinger, Claudia roped me into the info session that I think was this one, but 2 years ago now. And it sounded cool. And I realized that the application process is one step shorter than every program that's not associated with Kenyon. And that was pretty enticing to me, I'm not gonna lie.
Do you happen to know what step that is, Thad?
Yeah, it would be the second application to the program. This is only one application.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I decided the same way. I always sort of have loved Italy, and my sister studied abroad in Florence, and I visited her. But I wanted something a bit different, and I just sort of wanted to throw myself into Italian culture more so than what I had a taste of Florence with, which is like very Americanized and a lot of like American club life kind of going on. So it's definitely, if you want like people to not be speaking English all the time, Rome is definitely more of a choice for you, also because you can go so easily with the trains down to southern Italy where like very few people speak English, which was also like my favorite part. I think I only left the country once all semester, and we just stayed in Italy and just went around different parts of the country, and it was like completely fine. We were always gassed by the time we got back.
Yeah, I chose it because, you know, it was kind of easier as a double major to get the credits in and still go abroad. But also, like if you're someone that's interested in art, whether that's making it or studying it or both, Rome is kind of one of the best cities you can go to because there's so much art happening, both like contemporary work that people are making, as well as obviously all of the ancient stuff, and kind of being in a city that is integrating so much ancient culture with contemporary culture is really, really fascinating. I mean, we went on a class once and walked into this mall, basically in a Macy's, and we're like walking through this mall past all this stuff, and then just like came across this Roman aqueduct in the middle of the mall. And like that's kind of the feeling of being in Rome. And it's just an incredible city. I mean, you could, I would recommend that you travel outside a little bit, but you could honestly spend the whole semester not leaving and you won't see everything and you will still want to come back. So
it's huge, and it is so packed with like just everything. That Bernini class also is easily like the best class I've ever taken in college. And I love my Kenyan art history professors, but that class was just like incredible.
That might be a good segue. Would everyone mind sharing? So the structure of the program is set up that you take either one or two University of California elective classes. And so if everyone wouldn't mind sharing what elective they took, I know. And then if you want to share a little bit about it too.
I can start. I just took the Bernini and Borromini one, the art history one, and it was really cool. I mean, I think we met in the classroom maybe 4 times that semester, and
only the rest, exams, I think.
Yeah, and 2 were exams. So it was mostly just going to churches for the most part and other exhibits around And just walking, it gets a little bit tiring because you're just walking the whole time, but it's definitely interesting. Professor's amazing. He's very engaging, great Italian accent. Great guy. Good class. Highly recommend.
Yeah, I took the same one, and as I just said, like it's a crazy class. Alex is right. The professor is just like the goat. He's just awesome, and in like many ways. Also, we took one of the options was like an ancient Roman art class. I forget what the name of it was.
Ancient Roman civilization.
Yeah, thank you. And that class was like pretty much the same thing as the other class, except we were going into all these old, just like ancient places. Like there's a Colosseum visit, there was a Pompeii visit, and then just like all these tons of hidden away places from ancient Rome that you just get to see as part of the class, which was pretty cool as well.
Yeah, I'm not a studio art major. My first studio art class I've ever taken was in Rome on this program. But as a non-major, you can, through the UC courses, you can kind of like fill in a schedule that can work with your major. Like I took Ancient Roman Civ with Cooper, and then I took a Latin class. And because I was the only student who requested Latin, it was a one-on-one class, which was actually phenomenal. And we traveled around a bunch and translated Latin different places. And for our Ancient Roman Civ class, we were on site almost every class, getting to see where the ancient Romans did things. And it was really cool.
Yeah, I also took the art history class that everyone was talking about. I just second everything. It was really amazing. The professor's really funny and like engaging the whole time. You don't really zone out because everything he's saying is really important.
If you do go and you do take that class, just make sure you bring an umbrella because he will not stop and wait for you to go buy some €5 umbrella while it's pouring rain, and you will walk outside for like 5 miles in the rain to look at every church, but it's still amazing.
It's worth it.
Ben, what'd you do? Did you also take that class? I forgot.
Yeah, I also took the Bernini and Borromini art history course. And if we're not selling it enough already, I just want to say, like, it's one thing to be in Rome and to see all these places, but when you have a professor who tells you the intricate history behind it, it completely transforms the city. And I could not recommend that class enough. So if you take a semester in Rome, take Bernini and Borromini, the art history course. It's the only option.
Or go find this professor at some other university and take one of his classes.
Paolo Ale, that's his name.
Yeah, Paolo is a phenomenal instructor. So yeah, I have had the privilege of visiting a number of study abroad programs and seeing professors at them in action, and many of them are wonderful at their jobs, but he's really one of the best I've ever seen, and made me want to learn more about art history. So highly recommended as well. I feel like we should open it up to questions at this point from from prospective students. Please, if you're thinking about Kenyon-Rome, ask our senior students here for their wisdom and knowledge.
This is actually more a question for you and Marcel, if that's all right.
Sure.
So I'm going to be a senior next year, and I saw in the email that's going to be available for us if we are double majors. Is that going to be an issue? You know, because we have to work on comps our senior year.
Right. So Well, for the studio arts major, we're going to work to make it possible, right, for you. And I think what's really key is finding out from the other major when their senior seminar will be. And what the possibilities are there. And then what I think is also a really great idea, Ella, is once we find that out is when you are looking at classes for spring 21, right, that we can be really strategic about what you take, knowing then what the possibilities would be for the fall. So that everything could be decided ahead of time. So that there would be an unknown or something, right, that would jeopardize your double major. So, I'm glad to work with you on that and find out more for you if it's helpful from your other major, or you can ask them directly. But I do think at Kenyon, we have this perspective, and I've heard this from the president and the provost on down, that we know that people who are juniors this year missed this experience, and everyone's very committed to trying to help get that experience back to you, right, and back to the people that missed it, so that won't always kind of be hanging out there. So there's a real desire to help the students that do want to go. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
What is your other major?
I'm a sociology double major and studio art.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a problem.
Yeah, talk to your advisor and then schedule an appointment with me. I'll walk you through. I'll walk you through the administrative part. Other questions?
What is the general application process like? Can you get a little bit of info on that?
Yeah, so you apply for Kenyan approval for any off-campus study program, and so it's actually the same process for Kenyon-Rome and for any other OCS program as well, at least the first part of it, the Kenyan approval. As you heard a couple of people mention, if you apply to a different program, then there's an extra application after that. So the Kenyan approval process, we need to meet with you and talk with you sometime before February 1st to open up your application in our database, which is called Studio Abroad. And that application will have some questions about your goals for going off campus, questions about what kind of classes you plan on taking and how those connect to your degree and your major. And then we'll also have your major advisor or advisors, if there is more than one, sign off on your application and a recommendation form, which is not quite a letter. It's not quite as intensive, but asking a professor who you know to recommend you. So a couple key things you could be working on right now would be declaring your major if you haven't done so yet, because that person will need to sign off on your application by February. And then thinking about a professor who would be able to recommend you for off-campus study. And that can be anyone who's had you in class. It doesn't have to be someone in your academic department, although it certainly could be. And that's pretty much the Kenyan application process. There are a handful of programs that do have earlier deadlines, probably a dozen or so of them, including things like Oxford, London School of Economics, King's College in the fall, SIT in the fall for rolling admissions, the Swedish program in the fall for rolling admissions. So there's a handful of them. There's not that many, and they're not the most common ones for studio art majors to apply to. I'm saying that with a caveat because I'm looking at Daisy who went through this last year. So occasionally there are, but not too many. If you think you might be looking at one of those programs, just come in and chat with me and we'll talk about it. We always say, we're in the CGE, we're there for advising for you as much or as little as you need. So if this info session sold you and you're like, Kenyon-Rome all the way, I know it's what I want to do, all you have to meet with me or Marn to do is open your application. But if you are still deciding, if you're not sure, if you want to schedule an appointment with me once a week to talk about it, we can do that too. So it's kind of as much or as little as you need to decide on your program, but we want students to narrow it down to no more than 2 programs. So you can have a first choice and a backup, but it shouldn't be like, these are my top 6 programs and I'm going to apply to all of them. We don't think that's necessary to get into a program. It's much better to focus your efforts on 1, max 2 programs.
Oh, and Nora, you can ask me to be your faculty recommender. So,
Oh, thank you.
anyone who needs a faculty recommender, if you've already had me, feel free to ask me as well. And I want to add one thing for anyone who is a junior who will be a senior in the fall. So the other thing that needs to happen, and it might have a little bit earlier deadline, would be you have to fill out the petition to be not on campus during your senior year for the fall. So it's a petition that's available online. And I already talked to the registrar, Ellen Harbour, and she knows that we would all be doing this, and there's complete support for it. It is one extra step, but it could be a step. She's kind of encouraging anyone who's interested to do this in December. But then in the end, if you decide not to go, you just withdraw the petition. So it's something you can do as a preliminary step, just to make sure that's in the works and, that gets approved, and then continue to complete the rest of your application as well. So that you might want to think about just if you are going to be a senior next year. But they know that these petitions are coming. It's not it won't be unusual for you. So they're very supportive.
We've had quite a few seniors go in the past, and yeah, I don't think that's a big deal, getting that petition done. You're right, but I like the idea of getting it done ahead of time. That's a good idea. Yeah, usually students are petitioning, I meet with them and kind of go through the form to help you make sure you know what you're doing to fill it out. So it's not too
great. That's
too
great.
challenging. So yeah, that's the administrative part I was referring to. So just if you meet with me, I'll walk you through it. It's not too challenging. The big thing is if you have a double major, getting both departments to sign off on it. Hey, Megan, are you guys in the Center for Global Engagement pretty much just moving forward, assuming that things will be up and running next year? Is there a date at which you're all going to sit down and say, okay, is this definitely a go? Or is it more just sort of, let's just assume the best and hopefully everything will work out, which... Yeah, we are moving forward with things, hoping for the best. And I don't think we would make decisions prior to, at least April at the earliest. This year we made decisions for fall in June, and we did make a decision on Kenyon-Rome a little earlier than for the majority of other OCS programs. But I don't think we would know enough to make a decision earlier than that. So because so many programs would have earlier deadlines, and we want people to have the opportunity to be able to apply to things for fall, we're moving ahead with it. And, is there a possibility? I think that things could change, that it could get better, it could not get better. Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities that are out there right now, but I do think there's a lot of time between now and September. So we're very hopeful that circumstances will allow for travel and for the program to look similar to how it has looked in the past with travel and that. Great, thanks.
Well, I just want to reiterate, if as we kind of are winding down here, just reach out and email me, and we can have a Google Meet, or we can have an email conversation. And if you're ready to go, get a hold of Megan, and she'll work with you on the process. And I do think it is good, if you're thinking about it, to work with your advisor or talk to me to kind of be strategic about spring even, so you can be all ready to go for your vision into your either last 3 semesters or your how to parlay your second semester of your sophomore year into working and segueing really well with your Kenyon-Rome experience.
We haven't had any student questions for the seniors. I'm just going to point it out. You've got to have things you're wondering about. They're the experts. Just going to say it again. They're the experts.
Also, if you don't want to ask on Zoom, feel free to reach out to any of us. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm sure all of the people in this Zoom would be happy to help anyone with their decision.
If you all want to share your email or have a better way to contact you than email these days in the chat, that's great. You also you should all be able to log into Studio Abroad and see in the learning content section a list of all of the students who did off-campus study in 2019-20. And so that list has email addresses for everybody who's here today, as well as some other students who did Kenyon-Rome who couldn't make it today too. And people who did all the other OCS programs.
Also, like down the line, if you do decide to go and then you're like getting ready to go to Rome, like you can ask us questions about what to bring, I don't know, what to expect, because Accent sends you some information before you leave that like can be kind of stressful and sound like you're gonna get robbed, and you're not. You're gonna be fine. So if you have questions, you can let us know.
Yeah, I have a good list too, so I'll be working with the students as well. Let's see, and Sally had a question there.
Yeah, Sally.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. Like weather-wise, I know it's like different every year, but like, does it snow in Italy? In Rome?
Yeah, it snows, but like way, way up there. Yeah, dude, the Italian Alps. Don't make that face.
Okay, but not in Rome.
No, well, she said
It
Italy.
does not snow in Rome.
She said Italy first. Rome, it's
I
like,
think she specified and then said Rome.
okay, whatever. It was beautiful, regardless, up until the end.
Yeah.
And
There
then
was some-
like rained
there
for
was
a few days in November.
I do have an OCS photo exhibit that is the student turned in 2 photos, one at like the beginning of her semester and one at the end of her semester in the fall, and there was snow in the second one. So it is it is theoretically possible for snow in Rome, but highly unlikely.
Oh, it does get like seasons, like it gets pretty cool by the end of the trip. Probably.
Well,
yeah.
When I went, we had it was sleeveless into November 15th or so. And then we had to find a jacket, So we had very mild. Now, I thought the beginning part was actually more noteworthy because it was hot. It was really hot at the start. So we had to really plan for having some water on hand. But otherwise, I mean, another thing I talk a lot about is just it's beautiful weather and what that means for our work as artists. And photography is, the light, it's very famous, a beautiful light for photography. So, and the Romans are very proud of their weather. And, they criticize, Florence and Milan for being so sad, because it's overcast and cloudy. They're like, oh, it's so sad there. So it can be very beautiful weather, but probably by the end you'll need some kind of fall jacket and, maybe a delightful scarf could be good.
Also, if you decide to go anywhere else that is potentially cooler, like London or Paris, you might want to bring a jacket. But Claire and I went to Paris and got thrift shop coats.
Yeah, you could just go shop for a jacket instead. You are in Italy. The clothes are pretty incredible.
Incredible, not necessarily always inexpensive, but
no, You definitely can find some good. The thrift scene is pretty great.
There is a big old market every Sunday. Like I picked up a wool sweater for €6, and I've been wearing that ever since. It's like, yeah. I mean, I guess to speak to budget in general, like, I cooked time there, and it was wonderful because you have your farmers markets and you have all your groceries nearby, and you can just go and learn all the pasta dishes that you want. When we were there, just chef, kind of like a cooking class. So the first one was at school, and we learned how to make pasta, and that was fun. And then a bunch of the guys went back, and we learned I was gonna be like how to a pig. It wasn't quite that, but it was sort of cool. But yeah, you can make do with the budget.
I think that broke up a little bit, but hopefully most people got the gist of it.
The second class was a charcuterie class.
I
don't know if that got broken up, but yeah, it was a cool class, definitely. Kenyon grad.
Mm-hmm.
There's also some jobs you can get that Accent offers. There's quite a variety if you want to just make some extra cash while you're there to spend.
On that note, I don't believe I said this, but your financial aid from Kenyon does transfer to any OCS program, and most definitely to Kenyon-Rome. So in addition to there being a credit for food that you would need, if you have financial aid, then there's also other assistance available as well. And if you have an interest in having a more specific, like tailored budget sheet to you, my coworker Sam Turner can meet with you, and you can send her your financial aid a couple information pieces about your financial aid, and she'll put together a package that'll let you know exactly what your budget would look like for Rome.
Also, I don't know what the living situation is. I'm sure it's like too far out to really specifically tell, but we were in a neighborhood that was like a 12-minute walk to, well, no, that's a stretch. It's like a 15-minute walk to class every morning. So it was really easy. And Rome is definitely like a walking city. So if you like to walk around a city and explore, like you could really do that. Like someone said, you could do that every day for the entire semester and still have pockets of Rome that you can discover on the last day.
Easy.
Did any of you, sorry, pardon the barking dog. Did any of you all do the homestay program, or did you all live in apartments? And was it with other people on the Kenyon program or people in the UC program?
Yeah, we all lived in apartments, and we were just with each other. So there were 4 guys and 6 girls. So the 6 girls lived in an apartment about like 3 blocks away from us. And then we were 4 of us in an apartment. And yeah, I don't think anyone did the homestay our year.
It was really fun to leave.
Sorry here.
Oh, sorry. Do you
No,
want
you go ahead, Meme. What were you going to say?
Oh, it was really fun living together. Like we had a lot of dinners and just really enjoyed that aspect of it, especially kind of getting started and getting comfortable. I remember from the group that went before us, a couple of them did homestays, and it was kind of a mixed review. One person had a really great experience and another person really didn't. So I guess it depends on if you really want to get immersed in Italian and become really good at Italian, I think that's a good option. But if you want to kind of have the friend community and be together a lot, that's nice as well.
Yeah, and that's actually just what I was going to say. The program, I think, gives you that flexibility. If you want to be in Rome getting this great education, but don't really want to feel like you're with a whole bunch of Kenyan students, you can make it that way. And you could do a homestay. I think you're thinking of Yuban Han, who just loved her family and had also got this amazing job at an elementary school while she was over there. And and lived a very independent life and just had a great experience. And then we had Kenyan students who were living together in these beautiful old buildings, 12 minutes from the school, and they seem to have formed these friendships that were even kind of deeper and tighter than you might form staying here at Kenyon. So I think there's a lot of flexibility in how you can be in the program.
Are the majority of the classes with students from the UC system, or is it mostly just like the Kenyan students who stick together in most of the classes?
We were pretty heavily outnumbered. So there were like, there were like 11 of us, 13 of us, and there were like 50 UC kids. Like there were kids from probably like 8 or 9 UC schools. I don't know how many UC schools there are, but there were kids from a lot of schools. The Bernini class was like half Kenyan kids, and it was almost, I think every single one of us took that class. And then Thad and I, there were like, I think 4 of us in the ancient art class compared to a class size of like 20, 25.
All the Kenyan art classes, it's entirely Kenyan students.
Also that, true.
Right, so you'll have 1, maybe 2 classes that are only Kenyan students, and then you'll have 2 or maybe 3 classes that are a mixture. And depending on which classes you pick, you could have a majority of UC or maybe a majority or half of Kenyan students. I think a lot of people don't realize, because the students are from the different UC campuses, they don't all necessarily know each other. So while you may feel like the Kenyan group is outnumbered, actually the Kenyan group is probably the biggest, because they're
for our year at least.
Yeah, that's typical, that there are more students from Kenyan than there are from any one UC campus. So I think you can mix and get to know those students as much as you want to get to know them, because a lot of them will come not knowing anybody else, and that's rare for the Kenyan group.
If we happen to know someone in the UC system who's coming on the program, because I have some friends, I'm from California, so I have a lot of friends who are looking at this program as well. Do usually Kenyan students have to live together in apartments, or are we able to live with other people?
We typically don't offer. The UC students usually live in like a dorm kind of thing. I'm not 100% sure that that's still what they're planning to do for next fall, given some of the changes they've made with COVID-19. I don't think we will plan to offer that as a housing option. So if they live there, you wouldn't be able to live with them, but you would be able to still take class with them, hang out with them on the weekends, do other activities or things with them as well. There's activities and things that you can do with the program as well. So you can have a mixture.
Also, we lived in a different neighborhood than the UC kids this year. For the most part, I think there was one group that was in our neighborhood, but like, it's also, for like how much of a walking city is, it's pretty relatively easy to get from one neighborhood to a next, as long as you're just like sort of in the main part of Rome and not in the outskirts. There's just like buses that consistently run, and the metro is always going.
Great. All right. Well, it's 5:15, so I want to be respectful of everyone's time and wrap up. I'm happy to stick around in this for a little bit longer if students have other questions or things you want to ask maybe off the recording. I just want to say thank you so much to our students who came and shared about their experiences. It's really fun to get to see you all again. From all over the country, wherever you all are. And we really appreciate you. And, you've got their contact info in the chat. So don't hesitate, I think, to reach out to them. And thanks.
I want to say thank you to you guys too. Thank you for joining us and talking and reinvigorating our excitement for the program.